celebrated Women's Day the day we decided when you were born and you started going to school that if I am dropping you to school, that your father is picking you up from school. So we celebrated Women's Day that very day when we decided that we are sharing your responsibility 50-50 and it is not just left to me. So yeah, for her, Women's Day was every day, and she lived through an example. The people who knew her would know that, would understand that, and would know what I'm talking about. Having said that, today, where I stand, the way I look at the world around me, the way I look at the country around me, I think that with gang rapes of women happening all around us, a foreign tourist a few days ago was gang raped by a few Indian men who thought it was an act of great machismo, and song lines like Tandoori Murgi Hu Yaar, Katkale Saya, alcohol se still being very popular. I think it's important that one day is celebrated, at least to remind all those alpha males around us, inside us, that there is an idea, there are some people still talking about it, that it is important to discuss equality, it is important to discuss women's rights. I know we should be celebrating every day as Women's Day, but with all of this happening all around us, I do think it still is important to sort of, if need be, hammer it back into everyone's heads on one particular day, on 8th of March every year. Thank you.
That's lovely.
Concerned, in my life, my mother has been a very, very strong influence. As far as I am concerned, Param, of course, we know each other for many years, and he has met my mother. She's been an influence to whosoever has had the fortune to meet her. I lost her very early. She was just 65 when she passed away. I've seen my father play second fiddle because she was an educationist. She's gone around the world in universities teaching, and there was no problems in dividing the responsibilities between my dad and my mother. And I have a 20-year-old daughter. I was employed for many years, but since the time I ventured out into my own and I had time on my side, my wife, she is a full-time corporate professional. I have been a very, very hands-on dad. We've shared responsibilities, and my daughter has grown up to be a very, very fiercely independent girl. So yes, I am dominated in my family by two women. As far as I am concerned, it's always their, like wishes, their, whatever they say works in my family. It's not something which I, thrust upon them. So yes, in terms of days and celebrating one day, I would agree with Param out here. I am not big on celebrating even my birthdays. I do not like to celebrate a single day in a year. But yes, with the kind of times we are passing through in the country and the entire world, why not celebrate one day dedicated to women who do so much? In fact, if there is no woman in a relationship or in the world, I don't think the world will function. So yes, we should definitely celebrate one day. I know it's tough to say that 365 days should be celebrated as Women's Day, but at least a day marked for them is not a big decision and not a big problem to be celebrated. That's what I think. Thanks.
You tell me something very specific, what you want to know about Women's Day. But I think they've explained a lot, many things.
Can we move on to the next question if you think that they've answered it for you? Then, just specifically talking about women in cinema, because that is the topic that we have today. We increasingly told, and we get to even see it, that women today, whether it's in, and I'm talking about Indian cinema, and that also includes what we see on streaming platforms, because it's important to talk about that, because women apparently have more opportunities there, and there are diverse roles to be played. And the fact that streaming platforms and the content that's put out on streaming platforms is not burdened by what is expected out of a film, because a film has a lot of certain things that it has to kind of sell for it to be viable at the box office. We also see women leading stories, women at the forefront of stories, and this is both for Hindi, Bangla, and as well as for other regional languages. What is it like at the ground level? I mean, for Ritudi, you are in Bangla cinema, you've worked in Bollywood. Forum is very much entrenched in Hindi web series space and the kind of work that you've done over the last couple of years, as well as for the others. What is the ground reality? Is it true? I mean, we'll come to pay parity later, but what is it in terms of opportunity and diversity? And we know that it's better, but is it really very good?
Okay. First of all, good evening, everyone, and I'm very sorry to be late because I had to get into too many things today. I have some domestic chores to be done, and obviously, as a woman, the multi-dimensional woman I have to take care of too many things. And thank you, Richa, for organizing this wonderful panel. And thank you, T2, for associating. And I can see all, now I can see a lot of light on on the faces of my friends. So welcome, all of you. Actually, what Shudeshnadi, Poromroto, Shatraji, whatever they have said, I can just make an echo of that, just to begin with, because it's so pertinent and important causes they have touched upon. As a woman, I always feel confident from inside to do certain things in my own way now, but this confidence was not there before, because through years, through my toil and hard work, I've learned a lot of things. But so far as my childhood is concerned, I must say that I got raised by some very strong women who actually had a lot of courage in them, at the same time a lot of insecurities in them. So I actually got brought up by women who have got the combination of both, because the society was like that at that time. Now things have changed a lot. So just to touch upon a little bit of my relationship, I'm just going back, because I had a wonderful, strong grandmother who I actually looked up to, who was like a Bolena je Mohi Oshi Nari in Bengali. So she was one of a kind. I think Shudeshnadi met her once, right? And she actually had strong values. She actually did a lot to the family. I saw her, doing things for others, for a lot of relatives.
Probably the creative head of a particular channel or a platform or of a studio, a film producing studio. But the saddest part is that you might end up listening to that same woman sitting and telling you, listen, we got to make male-dominated films because that's the cash cow. Let's stay away from making female-centric films. That's the saddest part, when a woman has to say this. So it's not equal, let's face it first. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is, I think, representation of women in our films. I think that also, in a way, directly or indirectly dictates the participation of women. Because how do we look at women through our films? That's equally, if not more important, I think. And this is one aspect where I think what Ritudi just pointed out about this idea of a vamp, it becomes very important. In Indian cinema, I feel, for the longest time, and it comes from our sort of socio-cultural dynamic of India, that women are portrayed in our films either as devis, goddesses, or as the ideal marriage material, the girlfriend category, I would say.
Yeah.
or the vamp, as she pointed out, the bad one. Now the thing is, I would rather subscribe to the categorizing women on screen as vamps rather than define them as devis. Because
Yes.
a vamp is someone who has desires,
Agency also.
agency, desire just like a man, agency just like a man, or even more actually. So I think a vamp asks for more equality. A character of a vamp asks for more equality and more asks for more to be asked to be treated just like another human being,
yeah.
rather than being deified, somebody on a pedestal. And the defying women on screen, making goddesses out of them, is very problematic, I think, for me. Because that way you take all agency out of them, you put the agency in the hands of a certain, not even all men of a certain class and caste in society, where that goddess is not supposed to have any sexual desire, that goddess is not supposed to have anything to do with what a normal man does.
Absolutely.
So for me,
Yeah.
a vamp is a far more exciting and a more, it's at least a step towards equality rather than a goddess. I'm sorry, but I mean, I'm a God believing
I
person.
completely agree, yes.
But I do not subscribe to the idea of portrayal of women as goddesses. No matas, no matris, be it country, be it goddesses, nothing really works for me. I think a woman primarily needs to be categorized or portrayed, especially on screen, because films reach out to so many people, as just another equal, not less, what we just started out with, na hi kam na zyada, as just another human being with everything bad and
wrong.
good
Yeah,
that
bad
a
and
man
good.
has, as simple as that.
Thank you. I reiterate what you all said. He said it. But the other thing that I want to add to what Param has said, the things are not as bleak as it was, say, 20 years back. It has changed very recently. Maybe in the last 10 years, a vamp has carried a film and made it a cash cow on her own in Dirty Picture.
Yes, for sure.
Just as you had in Dar, Shah Rukh Khan being the villain and being popular, so a woman can also do that, being a woman, not a Devi.
Sudeshna, sorry, but there was a time when this was happening, as you pointed out. But I think we are kind of regressing a little
No,
bit.
the other thing that
because right now, trying to pitch and project a female-centric film anywhere is, as I said, the female CEOs will come and tell you, let's not do that, it's not earning you bucks. A kahani or a dirty picture was possible at a certain point in time, and the watchword of the industry was, "Arey ye dekho Vidya Balan aa gayi, ye wo heroine nahi hai, wo hero hai."
Huh.
No, that was what was being said. But there's also an inherent sexism in that, by the way.
there is. But what I want to say is that we shouldn't be disheartened, and we should. Very recently, I watched another film on OTT called Kathal. Have any of you seen it? Where there are issues that are talked about by the woman policewoman there, which are very real, which is to do with casteism, where the girl wants to marry this guy and he doesn't want to marry her, or is worried about marrying her because she is his senior. Now these are small little things that happen in our world, and like even with us, when we are going to get married, we always have to look up to the husband. Why? Why not look straight? Why does he have to be more qualified than you? Why does he have to earn more than you? If a woman earns more than a man, very often he has to face it that, oh, he's under that woman's thumb. Why should it be derogatory? We have to have that equality, and that should be through films. There are things that women like doing. Even in normal films, I know, I agree with you, because I face the same thing when I take a woman-centric film along, but it can be a cash cow if you put it across properly. Like Kathal was one, and just the other day I watched another commercial film, Ginny Weds Sunny, which is a total, what you call a romance, where I loved it when this man said, I'll marry you and I'll give you all the freedom to do what